Welcome, everyone. I'm Ellen Hackle-Fagan of Odetta Gallery, and we are presenting Debra Pearlman in A Kind of Language, a series of large-scale digital prints on view in real life at Project Art Space in Manhattan. The exhibition has been extended through February 26th, and we welcome you to schedule an appointment to go and see the exhibition. But for now, we wanted to give you a little more insight into Debra's work and what it has sprung from, which one of the key topics is fairy tales. Welcome, Debra. We're excited to learn more about this.
Thanks so much, Ellen. So in our conversations, this is certainly one that you've asked me about, and I've thought about this more clearly. And what I have to say is that they're a really magical part of childhood. They're a world in which one can disappear, like a good book, a world of stories that are very, very visual and have lots of opportunity to play in that imaginary world. There's a real identifiable fear of unusual powers that can be granted. If childhood is about anything, and I think this is key, it's about vulnerability, the lack of power, and our inability, their inability to alter events and the unfairness that plays out so often, whether real or imagined. But there's also this potential for magic, where the powerless find themselves in unimaginably amazing positions. Think Cinderella, for example. A better world where princesses appear, or princes and fairy godmothers, and even the idea of a magic wand. In Chicago, I had written a section of a children's story called Mariel Mabel's Magic Wand, and was invited to produce an offset print at Chicago Books. The magic wand is prevalent in some of the children's hands, as the work here that Ellen is showing us that's in the exhibition, one of a sequence of works called Yellow Dress. She's pointed out the connection with that magic wand, which I thank you, and also suggested, though I will not say the same, that in the Cuba picture, Cuba 1, she also has seen this image as holding a magic wand. And for this, I leave the idea open to interpretation. Our paths seem to have crossed back in Chicago. And Ellen actually remembered an early work I did, a proposal as part of an exhibition of women called Some Girls. It was to take place downtown Chicago, and not too far from this wonderful old structure, the clock tower of Dearborn train station. And this resides at the foot of State Street, and it was a wide thoroughfare with unobstructed views. And my idea was to have Rapunzel at Dearborn Station. And she would be hanging out of one of those top rounded windows. Here's a model that was in the show, and you can see that the head was designed in a concave fashion to actually mirror the crescent moon that I think actually would have been happening at the same time of the exhibit. And the model also was lit with colored gels so that it could be seen at night as well. So this was the idea that would happen should I have been granted permission, which was not the case from the city of Chicago, unfortunately. Though there was lots of support and even financial support that came forward, as well as press, the city would not get behind permission, such as that was. Years later, I thought about this work, and I realized that, keeping a studio working, she, as I have become, would be gray by now. And it set me on a kind of amusing and maybe meditative, maybe highly work-like, to find a material, and this is actually steel wool, of which each roll was unwound and then braided into these over 14-foot lengths hung on a kind of meat hook from close to the ceiling, sprawling out onto the floor. In fairy tales, fear and trepidation dominate. They're always also a message of hope. And work by Asset Mandelstam, as well as this work, which is part of a project called Shakespeare Speaks. And in this project, I had attended a performance of A Winter's Tale and was completely stunned by the text, as if I had heard it for the first time, that it was so powerful, talking about the feelings among parents and children, contemporaries, friends, whatever. I mean, the language ultimately was by a master. And I proceeded to search all of Shakespeare's plays to find all of the text as it reflected children. And from there, I edited and pared down until I made a sequence of individual prints, which began as this, with white text on a black, very, very saturated ground. Gradually, over a course of a year and a half, to move into color as a way of also reflecting the content. And this is not unlike the images in the exhibition, where the color, when it's used, is very, very saturated. Even the blacks are dense and rich and almost feel like fabric in person. So these are some of the ways that I've thought about language. Certainly, I've been clear in the idea of physical language in the images that I see, these iconic images that call up other kinds of experiences, but also the idea of the oral, the sound of language, and how it isn't static. It dances in the air, in time, through its cadence, its intonation, the repetition and rhythm, whether it be poems or children's tales or stories and songs that are used in children's games. We learn through singing. That's how we get our ABCs. And those sounds, to me, are another kind of language that plays out in time. So thank you, Ellen, for being interested in this work and bringing it up and connecting it with what I've had the pleasure of showing. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. We're so fascinated by fairy tales. Deborah has taken this motif, has worked with it over the last over 30 years in sculpture and photography and painting. And it's a real pleasure to build this connection of this early work to her current show. And we do hope that you'll stop over at Project Art Space at 99 Madison Avenue at the intersection of 29th Street. The exhibition will be up through February 26th. Thanks again, Deborah, and thank you,
Thank
Project
you.
Art Space.
It's been terrific. Thanks.